I am sure you all have not forgotten that this is the same guy, Trump, who has gotten to be in the news headlines for all manner of negative reasons. And of course, just recently, virtually every single media sensation, trended with his indictment over hush money payment. That happened, of course, recently by the district attorney of Manhattan, Alvin Bragg. And of course, I'm sure you also remember the raiding of his Mar-a-Lago residence. The raiding of his Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida. He's being charged over the possession of classified documents as an ex-president of the United States, by the way. I mean, this is a guy who just recently got, the court just recently ruled for him to pay damages of up to $5 million to E. Jean Carroll, a lady who has just recently accused him of rape sometime in the 90s. I mean, the ruling of the verdict, as the clerk asked the jury, the first question that was asked was, did this woman prove that Trump raped her? And the answer was no. In other words, the jury did not find Trump guilty of rape, and they didn't believe, of course, that she proved that Trump raped her, except as in they ruled for Trump to pay damages over what they called sexual abuse and defamation of character, meaning when Trump went public on his Truth Social handle to say that the allegation was not true and then said that she was lying. Everything that Trump said as a pushback against the allegation, it was characterized by this jury as defamation of character and sexual abuse. And of course, they made him, they are saying, according to the ruling, that he's going to have to pay $5 million. And of course, because the ruling involved the payment of $5 million, the media took it and blasted it in the headlines as court finds Trump liable for sexual abuse. They would not want to point out that, look, first of all, the jury did not find Trump guilty of rape because she couldn't prove it. No, the headline just the media just as in this is the man who has been at the center of the greatest media, legal and political attacks. If the person at the center of all of this attack was not Trump, the person would have been dead by now. The person would have either taken his life, or I don't know, maybe an assassination attempt would have succeeded against his life. Because trust me, assassination attempts have been made over the life of Trump himself. What am I trying to say? This guy, this is what I'm just trying to say, guys. Listen, just being able to study and follow the political battle in the American political landscape between the two major political parties, between the only two political parties, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. It is more entertaining and more action-packed than any film that you want to watch on Netflix or Hollywood. Trust me. This is a guy who is a victim of a political regime that currently, trust me, fits the definition of what you can call fascism, maybe authoritarianism, maybe a dictatorship, maybe a tyranny. Trust me, America today does not fit everything that we have been made to believe it is, because all our lives we've been made to believe that it is the finest democratic experiment in the history of world democracy. I mean, trust me. I mean, if a political incumbent here in Africa, in any African nation, is using the powers of his office to file a legal suit against a political opposition that is going to run against him, and has indicted him, has raided his home, would you not call it corruption? Would you not say, oh, African leaders are corrupt? But it is happening against Trump. It is happening again. And funny enough, a lot of Africans, and I would want to use our media sensations as an example, because a lot of them did. I don't want to mention names. A lot of these people do not realize that Trump was actually never seen as every of the things that he is called today until he indicated interest to want to run for president. And trust me, the biggest blow was that he now won in 2016. The American system came to be exposed by the entrance of Mr. Trump into the White House. Guys, I do not know what happened, but this is my guess. CNN's viewership ratings have been falling like the London Bridge ever since, it started becoming obvious to the American population that, it actually has been a dishonest media and has functioned more as an arm of the Democratic Party. Call it a media political arm of the political party. Why? Because everything it has done is to enable, promote, protect, and enhance the Democratic Party, even if it means exhibiting double standards in their judgments. And there is really a great big difference in how CNN covers Trump and how he covers Joe Biden. Just like there is a big difference between how they cover the Republican Party politics and the Democratic Party politics. I don't know if it is true, but there is this widespread, trust me, approval ratings will tell you that, listen, that CNN is aligned with the Democratic Party and is biased towards the Republican Party in favor of the Democratic Party. And yeah, it is an approval polling is supposed to mirror the cornerstone of democracy, which is that majority carries the vote. So, but then the truth of the matter is CNN invited Trump. The last time Trump was on CNN for a town hall was in 2016. This time around, why Trump is troubled with all manner of legal battles, they decided to invite him for a town hall. And guys, you need to really watch, man. Trust me, hate this guy all you want. But you see, this is one. See, Trump is a specimen of some kind that the world has never seen in a long time. Oh no, please. See, give yourself a break and don't even debate it. Trump is one human vessel of a kind that we have not seen. Listen, you are never going to have the chest to take the persecution and prosecutions and attacks, both politically, socially, and in this was a man that was cancelled by every single social media platform in the world. And then even before he established Truth Media, Fox News and Newsmax, the two right-wing leaning media platforms that were favorable to him in their coverage, all he has to do if he wants to communicate a message to the public is because Trump has an office of the former president in his Mar-a-Lago mansion that is designed like he's actually in the White House. And when he gives a speech from that office, Newsmax and Fox News will take it and just report it to the American public. And in a way, it ended up not helping, the system achieve their aim. You see, the American system, in a way, Washington DC is loyal to the Democratic Party's political agenda. And this system that leans left, just came together like a hydra and enclosed this guy, removed him from every social media platform. This guy is the first ex-US president to have his home raided by the FBI. This guy is the first ex-US president to be indicted on civil charges. This man is the first US president to have the highest votes in a presidential election as an incumbent. This guy is the first US president to secure the US Middle East, to secure the US North Korea peace deal. The third US president to secure the US Middle East peace deal. This man created the US Space Force. This man produced a vaccine at a time period unbelievable even by scientists. This man, even in the middle of COVID, created close to 500,000 jobs. As in, this guy did things that even Obama said he couldn't do. This guy brought back factory jobs that America had lost to China. And guess what? This guy is someone that the entire world can see be at the center of great attacks, despite having an impeccable record. And it becomes easy for the world to find sympathy in his sight, and he is able to generate sympathy with the media. The more they attack him, the more oxygen he draws from the numerous attacks. This guy is bionic, trust me. But hey, guys, please enjoy it from the same media platform. Guys, enjoy it with me, but please do not forget to like, share, and let me know what you feel, guys. Trust me, this is one thing that I would love to share with you. You're gonna enjoy it. Trump going into, you see, people believe this was a trap. Some people thought it was a bad idea because CNN has never been favorable to Trump. Whenever they have him, whenever there is an opportunity for them to have him, they want to jump on his throat every half a second. He tries to say something just to dismantle him publicly and tarnish his image. But guess what? This is a clear case of Daniel in the lion's den. This guy just went right in and snook him. Guys, look, watch. Like, Trump is proof that you can face any adversity on this earth and then fight and have a smile on your face, develop a thick skin, summon courage, never bow, never bend the knee, never crumble, and just be tough. Trump is a living example that, trust me, I really don't think it is possible that any person can be Trump and survive it. Guys, watch, enjoy it. Trump Town Hall, May 10th, 2023.
Please welcome the frontrunner for the Republican nomination, former President Donald Trump.
I think it's a very sad thing, frankly, for the world, because if you look at what's gone to our country has gone to hell. Our borders are bad. Our military has been bad. You look at the taxes. You look at inflation. What's happened to inflation? It's just destroying our country. We've really become, in many ways, a third world country. And it's very sad what's happened in this administration. And it's something that will turn around on day one. We were energy independent. Now energy is at a level that we've never had to pay before. Nobody can afford to continue to pay what's happening with energy. But we were energy independent. We were getting out of Afghanistan with strength and with dignity. And instead we got out, we looked like fools, probably the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
We have a lot of questions about the economy and foreign policy tonight. I was just saying there's no evidence of that election fraud. You did once tweet.
You're supposed to say that, but I'm glad you say that. But look, that was a horrible election. That was a horrible election. And unless somebody's very stupid, and I know you very well, you're not stupid at all, but you perhaps are given an agenda or you have an agenda.
Do you have any regrets about your actions on January 6th?
Well, January 6th was, again, we go back to it, but January 6th had to do with the fact that hundreds of thousands of people, and you don't see the pictures very often. A lot of the people here probably were there. January 6th, it was the largest crowd I've ever spoken to. One of the big problems was that Nancy Pelosi, Crazy Nancy as I affectionately call her, crazy Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington were in charge, as you know, of security, and they did not do their job.
They're not in charge of the National Guard. You're in charge of the National Guard.
Well, I offered them National Guard. I said, we'll give you soldiers, we'll give you National Guard, we'll give you whatever you want, and they turned me down. And in fact, she turned me down. She turned me down in writing. They turned me down.
But your acting defense secretary, Chris Miller, at the time, he says you never gave a formal order to deploy the National Guard. But when it came to that day,
just the opposite. Chris Miller wrote a book, and he's a fantastic guy, and he was ready to go. They turned him down. If you look, the mayor of Washington, D.C., lovely lady, she said, we don't want it. We don't like the look. Nancy Pelosi said, oh, we don't like the look. If they would have had I offered them 10,000 soldiers. I said, it could be 10, it could be more, but I offered them specifically 10,000 soldiers. If they would have taken 500 soldiers, you wouldn't have had the problem. They turned it down. And if you look at the Inspector General report, he says they turned it down. They made a terrible mistake.
Well, when it was clear they weren't being peaceful, why did you wait 3 hours to tell them to leave the Capitol? They listened to you like no one else. You know that.
They do. I agree with that. But
so why didn't you tell them to go home sooner?
Nancy Pelosi and the mayor are in charge. I assumed they were able to do their job. They weren't.
But Pelosi's not in charge of Capitol
And if you remember,
security.
I made a video right outside the Oval Office in the Rose Garden. And I'm very proud of that video. I didn't have a script. I don't need scripts like a certain person that's in there right now.
What time, the video, it came out much later after they had already attacked the Capitol.
It was a great video. And
going back to your influence, in that 3 hours, over 140 officers were injured that day.
And a person named Ashley Babbitt was killed.
Yes.
You know what? She was killed, and she shouldn't have been killed. And that thug that killed her, there was no reason to shoot her. At blank range, cold blank range, they shot her, and she was a good person. She was a patriot. There was no reason. And he went on television to brag about the fact that he killed her.
The officer was not bragging about the fact that he killed her, but
bragging.
one person who was at the Capitol that day.
But the lawyers were wrong, because right after the election, they all met, the rhinos and the Democrats, and they worked out a plan to make sure that future vice presidents don't do what I said you could do.
That's not what happened. You're referring to the Electoral Count Act. I've read that. There is no authority. Legal experts, including Republican legal experts, say that he does not have that authority, Mr. President. But
why did they change the law then, saying that you can't do it?
They didn't change the law. They strengthened the law because they were worried about presidents exploiting.
They strengthened it, meaning you could do it. Thank you.
That's not what it means.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Mr. President.
Thank you, Wayne.
My question to you is, will you pardon the January 6th rioters who were convicted of federal offenses?
I am inclined to pardon many of them. I can't say for every single one, because a couple of them probably they got out of control. But, you know, when you look at Antifa, what they've done to Portland, and if you look at Antifa, look at what they've done to Minneapolis and so many other places. Look at what they did to Seattle and BLM. Many people were killed. These people, I'm not trying to justify anything, but you have two standards of justice in this country, and what they've done, and I love that question, because what they've done to so many people is nothing. And then what they've done to these people, they've persecuted these people. And yeah, my answer is I am most likely, if I get in, I would say it will be a large portion of them. You know, they did a very...
Speaking of New York, I want to ask you about a significant verdict that was reached yesterday. I know this is something you want to weigh in on as well. A Manhattan jury found that you sexually abused the writer E. Jean Carroll and defamed her. You've denied this. But what do you say to voters who say it disqualifies you from being president?
Well, there aren't too many of them, because my poll numbers just came out and they went up. Okay. I think I'm the only person in history who had a charge like that. And usually you leave office, you say, I'm sorry, but I'm going back home. I'm back home to my family and everything. I'm going to be resigned. My poll numbers went up, and they went up with the other fake charge, too. Because what's happening is they're doing this for election interference. This woman, I don't know her. I never met her. I have no idea who she is. I had a picture taken years ago with her and her husband, nice guy, John Johnson. He was a newscaster, very nice man. She called him an ape. Happens to be African-American. Called him an ape. The judge wouldn't allow us to put that in. Her dog or her cat was named Vagina, the judge wouldn't allow to put that in. All of these things. But with her, they could put in anything. Just so you understand. Ready? I never met this woman. I never saw this woman. This woman said, I met her at the front door of Bergdorf Goodman, which I rarely go into, other than for a couple of charities. I met her in the front door. She was about 60 years old then. This is like 22, 23 years ago. I met her in the front door of Bergdorf Goodman. I was immediately attracted to her, and she was immediately attracted to me. And we had this great chemistry. We're walking into a crowded department store. We had this great chemistry, and a few minutes later, we end up in a room, a dressing room of Bergdorf Goodman, right near the cash register. And then she found out there were locks on the door. So she said, I found one that was open. She found one. She learned this at trial. She found one that was open. What kind of a woman meets somebody and brings them up, and within minutes, you're playing hanky-panky in a dressing room, okay? I don't know if she was married then or not. John Johnson, I feel sorry for you, John Johnson.
Mr. President, can I
think of it.
I know you're recounting what she said, but Mr. President.
But let me just, if I could, because you asked the question.
This was a
just
jury,
so you understand,
though.
if I was walking in at the park, because I was very famous then, and I owned the Plaza Hotel right next door, and I owned buildings around it, I'm not going into a dressing room of a crowded department store. Then I say, if she was being raped, and by the way, they said she wasn't raped. Okay, that was her charge. It wasn't.
They found that you sexually abused her.
What? Say what? They did. They said he didn't rape her. And
I
didn't do anything else either. You know what? Because I have no idea who the hell she is.
But Mr. President,
I don't know who this woman is.
Can I ask you, given your recounting
I
your
don't
version?
know who, and I tell you this.
But Mr. President,
are you ready?
can I
swear
ask
on
you
my
because...
children, which I'd never do. I have no idea who this woman. This is a fake story, made up story. We had a horrible Clinton-appointed judge. He was horrible. He allowed her to put everything in. He allowed us to put nothing in.
Mr. President,
this is a
you're
fake
recounting your version
story.
of events here right now to the audience. Do you wish that you had testified?
No, it wouldn't have made a difference. This was a rigged deal. My lawyer said, sir, you don't have to do it. I actually said, I think I should. It would be respectful. They said, sir, don't do it. This is a fake story, and you don't want to give it credibility. That's why I didn't go.
One thing you did do in this.
And I swear, and I've never done that, and I swear to I have no idea who the hell. She's a whack job.
Mr. President, you did not testify in person.
I said if you're famous and rich or whatever I said, but I said if you're a star, you are, and I said women let you. I didn't say you grab. I said women let. You know, you didn't use that word, but if you look, women let you. Now, they said, will you take that back? I said, look, for 1,000,000 years, this is the way it's been. I want to be honest. This is the way it's been. I can take it back if you'd like to, but if you're a famous person, if you're a star, and I'm not referring to myself, I'm saying people that are famous, people that are
you were
stars,
asked in the deposition,
people that are rich,
to be a star,
people that are
yes.
powerful, they tend to do pretty well in a lot of different ways, okay? And you would like me to take that back? I can't take it back because it happens to be true. I said it's been true for 1,000,000 years, approximately 1,000,000 years, perhaps a little bit longer than that.
So you stand by those comments?
Well, I don't want to lie.
Mr. President, we have a lot of
here's what she wants
Mr.
me to
President,
say.
Let's
a
get to
rich
the
and
audience
famous
questions
person
tonight.
has no advantage over anyone else. Well, you do have an advantage. And I say unfortunately, but that's the way it is.
You said fortunately or unfortunately.
Well, fortunately
but Mr. President,
or unfortunately
we have a lot of
for
audience
her.
questions.
My question is regarding the economy. Over the past 2 years, we have seen the prices for everything skyrocket. From food to gas to utilities and insurance costs, many people's bills are up several $100s a month, including mine. If elected president again, what is the first thing you would do to help bring down the cost to make things more affordable?
Drill, baby, drill. You know what that means. So, we were energy independent. We were soon going to be energy dominant. And nobody had ever done what I did. We got oil down to $1.87. Actually, it fell lower than that in some cases. We had to save the oil companies. The price was getting so. We were doing incredibly. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country, probably the greatest economy in the history of the world. We were energy independent, soon to be energy dominant. We were going to be bigger than Russia and Saudi Arabia put together ×2. We have more liquid gold under our feet than any other nation. Any other nation. And these stupid fools ended it. And energy went from $1.87 and even lower for gasoline, for a car. They went from $1.87 to $5, $6, $7, $8, and even $9. And your electricity bills went through the roof, your heating bills went through the roof. And that's what started inflation. And it hasn't stopped because people are paying now for bacon and for eggs and for the 2 and 3 times what it was just a little while ago. We created the greatest economy in history. A big part of that economy was got you the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country, bigger than the Reagan cuts, bigger than any cut. And also, Caitlin, also, as you know, we got the biggest regulation and regulatory cuts. This place was rocking, and then we were given a gift from China, and China paid a big price. And let me tell you something. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in taxes from China. But prior to COVID coming in, and then I rebuilt the economy again, a second time. But we had, prior to COVID coming in as from China, from Wuhan, which I said it came from Wuhan. Everybody said, oh, you're wrong about that. You're wrong. It came from Wuhan. I said it right from day one. So we had the greatest economy in the world. Here's the story. They made energy so high, and energy is all invasive. It is massive as an industry and as a cost. It lifted everything. If you made donuts, no matter what you did, and we had inflation, the likes of which I guess we haven't had, say, said for 52 years, but I think more than that. We had no inflation. We had the lowest energy prices we've had in decades. This country was rocking and rolling. And by the way, we had the most secure border in the history of our country.
Mr. President, we have more questions on the economy. I want to make sure we get to all of those.
Such an important question. So we're at $33 trillion, a number that nobody ever thought possible. When we had our economy rocking and rolling just prior to COVID coming in, like literally, we were making a fortune. And oil, we were going to make so much money from oil, we were going to start paying off debt. But then with COVID coming in, we had to do other things. We had to keep this country alive because it was so serious. But we have to get the country back. We have to lower energy prices. We have to lower interest rates. Interest rates are through the roof. Energy has to come down. It all has to come down, and we have to start paying off debt. But when we have a debt limit, and they use that very seriously. They came in, Schumer came in with Nancy Pelosi, and they were using, we'll violate it, we'll do whatever. They talked a whole lot different than they do right now. I say to the Republicans out there, congressmen, senators, if they don't give you massive cuts, you're going to have to do a default. And I don't believe they're going to do a default because I think the Democrats will absolutely cave because you don't want to have that happen. But it's better than what we're doing right now because we're spending money like drunken sailors.
So just to be clear, Mr. President, you think the U.S. should default if the White House does not agree to the spending cuts Republicans are demanding?
Well, you might as well do it now because you'll do it later. Because we have to save this country. Our country is dying. Our country is being destroyed by stupid people, by very stupid people.
You once said that using the debt ceiling as a negotiating wedge just could not happen. You said that when you were in the Oval Office.
That's when I was president.
So why is it different now that you're out of office?
Because now I'm not president.
The U.S. defaulting would be massively consequential for everyone in this room, for all Americans.
You don't know. It's psychological. It's really psychological more than anything else. And it could be very bad. It could be maybe nothing. Maybe you have a bad week or a bad day. But look, you have to cut your costs. We're spending $7 trillion on, much of it on nonsense. $7 trillion on nonsense.
We've got another question from a voter tonight.
Get all of that money that was wasted, and frankly, the Senate should have never approved it. Get all that money that was wasted, and if they don't get rid of that, you'll have to default. Okay?
Mr. President, we've got another voter here tonight.
And by the way, you're going to default eventually anyway, but it's going to be much messier. I don't think you'll have to default. I think if the Republicans hold strong and they say we want let's say we want $5 trillion off. I really think the Democrats have no choice but to do it. And if I win, they're going to be doing the same thing to me in 2 years. I guarantee you that.
Mr. President,
they're going to play a very
hard
ball game,
tonight.
and they did that before.
Bobby Patrice.
But the fact that I was able to terminate Roe v. Wade after 50 years of trying, they worked for 50 years. I've never seen anything like it. They worked, and I was so honored to have done it. We are in a very good negotiating position right now, only because of what I was able to do. And remember this, again, you talk about radicalism. People that will kill a baby in the 9th month or the 8th month or the 7th month or after the baby is born, they're the radicals, not the pro-life
I just want to
people.
give you one more chance, though, because you did not answer whether or not you'd sign a federal abortion ban with your immigration. It was only about 52 miles of new wall.
This is what she does. I built hundreds of miles. Some of the wall was up there, and it would be laying on the ground, rusted, rotten steel, rusted, rotten wood, and what the radical left crazy Democrats did, if there's a piece of wood laying down, they consider that a wall. I built 30-foot walls that go down 7 feet into the ground. If there was a little piece of wood sitting in the ground, they said, oh, he's not building a wall. We already had a wall. Because this is the game. They're a party of disinformation.
It's not a game, Mr. President. It's about 52 miles of new wall. What other immigration policy you have when you were in office?
I built new wall.
52 miles
for hundreds of miles.
CBP, Mr.
What I did is I replaced other wall that was laying down, that was up and rotting in the ground for 30 years. Some of it was steel that you couldn't even see.
Mr. President, it was only about 52 miles of new wall. But moving on, another immigration policy you had was the zero-tolerance immigration policy that separated families at the border. If you are reelected, are you ruling out instituting that?
Well, when you have that policy, people don't come. If the family hears that they're going to be separated, they love their family. They don't come. So I know it sounds harsh, but if you remember they said I was building prisons for children. It turned out that it was Obama that was building the prisons for the children.
But would you re-implement that if you're re-elected? Is that what you're saying?
We have to save our country, all right?
So it sounds like that's a yes.
No. When you say to a family that if you come, we're going to break you up, they don't come. And we can't afford to have any more. Look at New York City. Look what's happening. They're living in Central Park in New York City. Because we're giving away so much equipment. We don't have ammunition for ourselves right now. We don't have ammunition for ourselves. We're giving away so much. But here's the thing. I have to say it to start off. No longer matters. If I were president, this would have never happened. And even the Democrats admit that. Putin knew it would have never happened. And his pipeline would have never happened. A lot of things would have never happened. But this would never have happened. And all those dead people, both Russian and Ukrainian, they wouldn't be dead today. And all those cities that are blown up and disintegrated right to the ground, that wouldn't have happened. Okay, now, here's the problem. We've given so far $171 billion. They've given, meaning European Union, which is approximately the same size altogether as our economy. They've given about 20. So we're at 170, let's say, and they're at 20. You don't have to know too much about history to realize, or geography, to realize that they're a little bit more affected than we are, okay? So they've got to put up a lot more money because they're taking advantage of us like every other country did. That's why I ended NAFTA and replaced it with the USMCA, Mexico, Canada.
But on this issue, Mr. Answer.
I have a very good relationship with President Zelensky because, as you know, he backed me up with the phony impeachment hoax number one. When he said the president didn't do anything wrong, so I happen to like. Yeah, that's right. And I was totally exonerated, by the way, just a waste of time and money.
You were impeached over that. You were impeached over that. But let's stay on topic here, Mr. President, because the question is, would you give Ukraine weapons and funding?
I was impeached by a crazy woman named Nancy Pelosi.
But the question here is, would you give Ukraine weapons and funding if you were elected?
I would sit down. Let me just put it a nicer way. If I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours.
How would you settle that war in one day?
Because I'll meet with Putin, I'll meet with Zelensky. They both have weaknesses and they both have strengths. And within 24 hours, that war will be settled. It'll be over. It'll be absolutely over.
Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people and breaking down this country. Now,
just made there. Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying. Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop dying. And I'll have that done. I'll have that done in 24 hours. I'll have it done. You need the power of the presidency to do it.
But you won't say that you want Ukraine to win. You
know what I'll say? I'll say this. I want Europe to put up more money because they're in for 20 billion. We're in for 170, and they should be. And they should equalize. They have plenty of money. They should equalize. I got with NATO. When I sat down, I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars that they weren't paying under Obama and Bush and all of these other presidents. That's why they're able to help them fight the war, because of the money I got. But I want Europe.
What's happening in Ukraine,
Excuse me. I want Europe to put up more money, because they're laughing at us. They think we're a bunch of jerks. We're spending $170 billion for faraway land, and they're right next door to that land, and they're in for 20. I don't think so.
When it comes to what's happening there, when you were in office, you said that you respected President Putin. Do you still respect him today?
He made a tremendous mistake. He was a smart guy, you know. I remember I said he was smart, she was smart. He said President Xi of China, right, is smart. Okay, 1.5 billion people. He's the ruler of 1.5 billion people. I said, yeah, he's a smart guy. How dare he say he's smart? Of course he's smart. They want you to say he's a stupid person. Okay, he's not a stupid person. He's very smart. He's very cunning. And Putin made a bad mistake, in my opinion.
What was his mistake?
His mistake was going in. He would have never gone in if I was president. We used to talk about it there.
Do you believe that he is a war criminal?
What?
Do you believe that Putin is a war criminal? He's responsible for the deaths of thousands
of
Ukrainian men and women.
I think it's something that should not be discussed now. It should be discussed later, because right now we have to get a war. If you say he's a war criminal, it's going to be a lot tougher to make a deal to get this thing stopped. Because if he's going to be a war criminal where people are going to go and grab him and execute him, he's going to fight a lot harder than he's fighting, you know, under the other circumstance. That's something to be discussed at a later date. Right now, we want to get that war settled. And I'm not talking about the money either. I'm talking about all the lives that are being, the number of people being killed in that war is far greater than you're hearing. When they blow up a city and those buildings come pouring down and then they say 2 people were injured, no, hundreds and thousands of people are being killed, and we have to get that war settled. Can I tell you, just so you understand, the Presidential Records Act is not criminal. I took the documents. I'm allowed to. You know who else took them? Obama took them. Nixon took them. Reagan took them. Oh, he didn't?
The difference here that I'd like to know.
Reagan
National
took
Archives
them.
says that President Obama
even Jimmy Carter,
take documents.
even Mike Pence had some documents, and he's a very honorable guy.
You referenced
But you know who took them more than anybody is Joe Biden. He has 1,800 boxes. And nobody even knows where they are. 1,800, and nobody talks about him.
Mr. President,
and they put a rough guy on us, and in the meantime they have nobody.
I think it's important, Mr. President, to actually set the record straight here. They took documents, including Vice President Pence. When they realized they had documents, they turned them back over. The difference is that you waited to turn yours over, and it was a year-and-a-half effort that included a subpoena with those documents. One question about what happened when you had those documents. It included a raid on my house. That's what it included. But you'd gotten a subpoena and they had not been turned over yet.
They didn't raid Biden's house. You know what happened? They put him in the house. That's the one with the Corvette where the documents were laying all over the floor. That was fine. And you know who happens to be at Mar-a-Lago? Secret Service, and they're phenomenal. I have Secret Service. He didn't have Secret Service. The other thing, the vice president cannot declassify. He didn't have the right to declassify. He has documents from when he was a senator. And even Democrat senators say, I can't believe it. No, I went by the Presidential Records Act, and we were negotiating with NARA.
That's not what it says,
and NARA has red flagged a thing called the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights because they consider them dangerous documents.
Mr. President, that's not what it says, and I should note that there is a special counsel investigating your document situation, also President Biden's document situation. When it comes to your documents, did you ever show those classified documents to anyone?
Not really. I would have the right to. By the way, they were declassified after. Not that I can think of. Let me just tell you, I have the absolute right to do whatever I want with them. I have the right. I was negotiating with NARA. Do you know what NARA is?
The National Archives.
Extremely left group of people. Extremely left. And I was negotiating with them. All of a sudden, they raided my house. They didn't raid the house of Joe Biden. They didn't raid Obama.
But Joe Biden didn't ignore a subpoena to get those documents back like you did.
And so that's 1,850 boxes.
But that's the return.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's the answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to. You're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
Can you answer why you held on to the documents?
I was negotiating, and we were talking to NARA, that's Washington, to bring whatever they want. They can have whatever they want. When we left Washington, we had the boxes lined up on the sidewalk outside for everybody. People are taking pictures of them. Everybody knew we were taking those boxes. And the GSA, the government service, the GSA was the one taking them. They brought them down to Mar-a-Lago. We were negotiating with NARA. All of a sudden, they raid our house. When Biden has his documents, he won't give back the 1,850 boxes. And you're going to find some real gems in there.
But it was Biden who alerted them that he had the documents. The National Archives reached out to you to get your documents back. Why did you not turn them over when you got a subpoena asking for you to turn them over?
We were negotiating with them as per the Presidential Records Act. We were negotiating with NARA.
That's not what
Very
the
nice
Presidential
people,
Records Act...
but all of a sudden they raided the house. Now, why hasn't the FBI raided Biden?
But I just explained to you why. No. It's because they alerted the government that they had those documents and had them come and get the documents from his house.
No,
my question for you, though, when it comes to documents, do you still have any classified documents in your possession?
Are you ready?
Do you?
No, I don't have anything. I have no classified documents. And by the way, they become automatically declassified when I took them. But
no,
why?
You have to declassify
Let me ask you a question. Why is it that Biden had 9 boxes in Chinatown? And he gets a lot of money from China. Why is that? And why aren't people? Why aren't people bringing that up? And why don't they put this guy Jack Smith and his group of thugs? Why don't they put him in charge of that?
I need to stop you right there because there's no evidence of what you just said there. What you're referring to there is an office that he had after leaving the vice presidency. He had a temporary office. But I want to ask you about another investigation that you're facing.
You don't know the subject.
I do know the subject.
He had one at University of Pennsylvania. But he also had 9 boxes in Chinatown.
That you're facing, which is the one that's happening in Georgia, where they are investigating your efforts to overturn.
All of these fake investigations of me are about election interference. They think because I'm leading Biden by 11 points, 7 points, 9 points, I'm leading DeSanctimonious by a lot. By 40 points or 45 points. I think he ought to just relax and take it easy and think about the future, because right now his future is not looking so good. The way he got out of Afghanistan was the single most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
Mr. President, I have one more question. Will you commit to accepting the results of the election regardless of the outcome?
Do you want me to answer it again? If I think it's an honest election, I would be honored to. And right now we are so far ahead of both Democrat and Republican. And you know what? If I don't win, this country is going to be in big trouble. It's so sad to see what's happening.
But no commitment there on accepting the results regardless of the outcome.
If it's an honest election, correct, I will.
Okay, so not committing to accepting the 2024 election results or acknowledging what happened in 2020.
Go ahead.
President Trump, I want to thank you for coming here tonight.